First up on our agenda this evening is under introductions and presentations. Julian is here. Welcome, Julian, with CV&I to give us an update on our beach nourishment project, which is well underway now. So we're very excited about that.
Yep, same here. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Like Mayor Davey said, Great Lakes started pumping sand in Kill Devil Hills on the 22nd, last Thursday around 6 p.m. With the Liberty Island. Okay. So before they were in Duck, they had 3 dredges on site, or they still do. That's the Liberty, the larger one in Kill Devil Hills, and then there's the 2 smaller dredges that are still working in Duck. And they should be done Duck sometime this evening / tomorrow morning. So we'll have those other 2 dredges at the south end of Kill Devil Hills near Landing Street as early as tomorrow morning. So that'll be really nice to see, and we'll kind of touch on the schedule adjustment and what led to that, and why those. The main reason is because those 2 smaller dredges are here. So I'll kind of have a couple slides to show to talk about that. But a little bit of the background, like we're talking about now. We'll go over some of the background and equipment. We'll look at the construction plans, the 4 subline locations for Kill Devil Hills. A lot of those aerials we were just talking about, and then the schedule. Just a reminder of kind of what to expect moving forward, monitoring, renourishment, and then some questions. So here's our project overview map. Those 2 green areas are our bar areas. For Kill Devil Hills, it'll be coming from bar area A, which is on the right of your screen. There are 4 towns. Southern Shores is included too now at 2,500 feet in there. So in total, we're about 8.3 miles and 4 million cubic yards. This is Kill Devil Hills, a little hard to see, but 2.6 miles, and that project will be contiguous with Kitty Hawk just to the north, and that's what we see here. So one continuous project ending 2,500 feet into Southern Shores, and with the Kill Devil Hills taper, southern taper beginning at Prospect Avenue and moving north. There's 4 possible dredges that will be here. There's 3 on site right now. Like I said, the Liberty has started at Helga Street and is moving north. The Dodge and the Padre will be starting tomorrow, this evening at Landing Street and heading south. And the Ellis Island may possibly show up later in the project, but that would be more for Kitty Hawk. This is a typical hopper dredge. This is one of the Army Corps actually, but you can kind of see looking at the top how they're filling up their hopper. They go to the bar area, they fill up the dredge, and they come back and discharge, and that's what you see offshore. And so this is your typical side view of you have that material, that water filling up the hopper. You have your drag heads on each side being dragged on the bottom, and those are kind of the vacuum cleaners that fill up that ship and then bring it back. This is the Liberty. It's larger than the Dodge and the Padre. It holds about 725 dump trucks worth of sand, whereas we have the 2 smaller dredges that hold about 400, and that's the Dodge and the Padre. So they typically work in tandem. They're a little smaller, hold less, and so I'll touch on it later as well, but keeping that distance down for them to travel is really important so that they're just continuously pumping. This is the Ellis, which would be over 1,600 dump trucks, and so that, again, may come in August, but that would mostly be for Kitty Hawk at this point. It was supposed to be working on Kill Devil Hills, but because that schedule shift, it'll now be more for Kitty Hawk if it does come. This is typical of what we see. This is more of a generic. That red arrow at the top of the screen, top left, that's the pump out station. You'll see the dredge just offshore. That's kind of what it hooks up to. There's a subline, submerged pipeline that leads to your shore pipe, which runs down the beach, and then you get into your active construction area. So those were more generic. This is photos from Duck here. You have Liberty Island hooking up to your floating pipeline out there. That's about 3,000 to 5,000 feet from the shore, and that will connect to the submerged pipeline, which comes onshore, that we'll see here. And so this is a view just looking from the beach. Obviously, you have the dredge in the background, your submerged pipeline coming on shore. I lost lost the clicker.
Okay, because people are playing. Try again.
All right. Yeah, I think it started over. There we go. And so then we get into our active construction area. I know that's a little small. So our submerged pipeline comes onshore. Then you have your shore pipeline. That's just the 30-foot sections of pipeline on the beach. And then you have a Y valve, and you kind of split those shore pipelines. And so you can discharge from multiple areas as you go down the beach. And then you have your sand fencing as well, your fencing on both sides. And that's the area that's closed to the public, and so that's the active area that they're pumping in at that time. And then they'll break down that shore pipeline, and then once it's broken down, that Y valve will be moved up the beach here, and then now they have one line, and then they can move that fence and reopen the beach. And so they'll just keep moving down the beach until they hit a certain distance that they can't pump anymore, and then they'll go ahead and swap and head the other way. So like at Helga Street right now, they're moving north in the Kitty Hawk. Once they hit a certain distance that it becomes inefficient, they'll go ahead and swap and then start heading south from Helga Street. Looking at the plans, just want to quickly touch on them. And so it runs from Prospect Drive to the Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil Hills line. And what those plans show is that we have a dune, our landward and seaward berm crest, and then where that template ties in. And so you have your plan view at the top with this cross section, and again, that might be a little small to see, but that hatched area on the plan view, which is just the view overlooking, that's the dune, and then those other lines are just, they correspond to the cross section. So the landward berm, the seaward berm, and then the toe of fill. Here's a blown up cross section, and actually just going back a couple, you notice that not everywhere has a dune, and that is specifically because as we look at these cross sections, so this around 5th Street is an area that does not have a dune, and you'll notice the existing profile, that dune is already over 20 feet, it's 100 feet wide, and so it's a very large dune, and so situations like that, it's more important to put the material out in front and build a larger berm. And then where you have other areas, this is between Landing and First, where you have this is a 15-foot dune, the other one was 20. The other one was about 100 feet wide, and this is maybe 20 to 25. And so here, it was important to build out that dune, and then also the berm as well. But that's why some areas do not have a dune. It just depends on the existing conditions and what was there before the project. And that dune slope, I know in the cross section, it looks a little steep, but this is an actual constructed area near Helga Street. So easily walk down, and just in that picture there's this house, and just kind of to show you how they're tying into houses that are a little seaward, in the design. So just kind of shaping it around those houses. The subline locations, there's 4 subline locations planned right now. Helga's obviously in, and they're pumping north. They're going about 1,500 to 2,500 feet into Kitty Hawk. This is because the distance at Duck that the dredge was hooking up at was about 5,000 feet, and this is closer to 3,000 feet. They have a little more room to go on the beach, and so they're kind of adjusting, seeing how things are going, and so that's why right now they're still kind of analyzing best pump out efficiencies and everything. And so right now they have one at Helga. There's a pipeline installed at Landing Street, which is where the Dodge and the Padre are going to go. They're going to hopefully install another section just north of 2nd Street tomorrow. And then they'll have a 4th, which is the one that's at Duck now, and that should be sometime next week. That's going to go just north of 5th Street. And so right now, like I said, they're at Helga moving north. They're going to finish that portion and then flip and go south, again, for as long as they can with their, however the efficiency of the pumps go. Then they also have the Dodge and the Padre starting at Landing, and they're going to move south and finish the taper. And so at that point, with the Dodge and the Padre, they'll be here early July, maybe another 7 to 10 days. And so just depending on how long it takes them to finish that taper, they'll go ahead and flip and then just work as far north as they can before they leave. So, and yeah, some photos. So this is Helga. You'll notice they have some equipment kind of near the dune. That's actually the staging area for this project. They also have additional equipment on the beach, and I know that's hard to tell there, but so this is kind of 24 hours into them pumping right at Helga Street. A couple other more views. This is looking south, looking north, that same area though, same day. Day 2, starting to turn, starting to move a little bit to the north. Day 3 just looking the other way, and here we start to see some real progress. Day 4, day 5 here, and and that one was just this morning. So that's day 6 here, and yeah, they just continue to pump north. Once, like I said, they hit that line length, they'll turn around and do the same thing coming back. Schedule. So the just to touch base on why Kill Devil Hills ended up going before Kitty Hawk. Those smaller dredges, the Dodge and the Padre, those were not anticipated to be on this project at all. And so once they showed up, it became let's maximize their efficiency. And because they're smaller and they're not as large as the Liberty, a larger sail distance really affects them. And so as you can see here, from bar area A to the center of Kill Devil Hills is about 6 miles, but to the center of Kitty Hawk is about 8 miles. And so it simply became, while those 2 dredges are here, let's maximize their efficiency. That's why those 2 are starting at the very south end of Kill Devil Hills to even make it closer to 5 miles. And so to have those for 2 weeks, moving nonstop, it's going to be a huge help. The Kill Devil Hills project was estimated at about 40 days, and so with those 2 dredges on top of that, it can only really help. And so that was the idea there, and scheduling just in general. I know it seems that things are constantly changing, and it's because they are. And so just like this, no one realized those 2 dredges were going to be here for this long. Hey, they are. How can we maximize this, and how can we finish this project as quickly as possible? And that was the answer. And so the decision was made to move forward with that. And throughout the project, this is just kind of how it works. And we try to inform everyone as much as possible, but things just change. And at the end, it's always for what's best for the project, what's going to get us out of here, or them out of here quickly, out of your guys' way, build the beach and be gone. And we realize it's the summer, and so there's a lot of decisions that continuously are made, but they're made to just maximize the project and be as efficient as possible. The beach design and construction template. And so this is something that we had kind of gone over a few times. I'm not sure if you guys remember or not, but this would be a pre-project condition profile. And like I said, it's just something we really like to remind everyone at what to expect after the Nourishment project. Here we have our construction template, and you'll notice there's 3 kind of segments to this template. You have your equilibration that's expected, and so when you fill this template, you're not just filling the dry beach. It's like an iceberg. You see the tip, but there's so much more going on, and it's the same with the beach profile. You have the sandbar, you have all of it, and so that sandbar, is knocking down those waves, and you need to nourish the entire profile. And so in your construction template, you factor that in, that it's going to equilibrate, and you're going to see 30 to 40% of that equilibrate. Then you also have your advanced fill, which is essentially you design for a certain nourishment interval, and then you go ahead and put your expected erosion on top of that. And so that's kind of sacrificial fill that over time does erode. Then you have what's left is your design beach, and that's the minimum protection you want to provide. And so once you've hit that design section, then you go ahead and re-nourish. And so at first we're going to see, especially recent, some equilibration of those profiles. And this is a real-world example from North Topsail from a couple of years ago. And here we have our construction template. What was constructed is yellow, and about 6 months into it, you can see a lot of that material moving near shore and building up that sandbar. And what that does is, before a wave was breaking on the left of that arrow, and now it's breaking farther offshore. And so that wave energy is just dissipating over, in this example, 200 feet farther offshore. And so not only do you have a wider beach, but you have smaller waves hitting that beach. But that's a process that's anticipated. It's factored into the construction template to equilibrate and fill the entire profile. And this is just a photo of Duck from this morning. So this is their project. Like I said, they should be done this evening / tomorrow morning. And yeah, this is that's kind of how the taper looks tying into the existing conditions. And yeah, that's that project was about 1.5 miles, and this one's about 2.6. So. And then I have some frequently asked questions, but I like to just leave them in the presentation for when you all post them, or if you'd like to ask them specifically, feel free to. But that's all I have. If anyone has some questions.